this is one of the things I want you to understand about how the conscious and unconscious mind work. And this is again a model, not the truth. And the most commonly held model, the one supported by the media, you know, it's like woo, unconscious mind, they call it the subconscious mind, is what I call the tube theory. The tube theory of conscious and unconsciousness is that we have our conscious mind up here like this. And then behind it there's this long dark tube. And down here is our subconscious mind. Now, in order to get access to your unconscious that way, you have to get your conscious mind out of the way. And there's kind of a hierarchical bias in that the conscious mind is who we really are, and our hidden down is our unconscious, like subservient to the conscious mind. Not accurate, in my estimation. Here's what I believe the conscious, unconscious mind looks like. Do people know what set theory is in math? Remember that way back then? There's a little slight memory. I'm going to give you set theory in a nutshell. Okay? The set of all furniture in the room would include the chairs, the little garden plant things, the tables, the settee over there. That's the set of all furniture in the room. The set of all chairs in this room would include just the chairs and not the rest of it. The set of all chairs in this room is a subset of the set of all furniture in this room. Okay, you understand? That's set theory. They go on beyond that, that's all I can remember. That's all I found useful, but it is useful. We have a set called the mind, the big circle here. And I'd like to make the circle this big, or bigger than the room or the house. And we can have a debate about whether the boundaries of the mind are finite or infinite, but we're going to act as if they're finite. I believe they're both. But act as they're finite. Within your mind is every thought, every perception, every emotion you've ever had. Okay, now remember, notice I said mind, not brain. I think that's where science has it backwards. Okay? The brain is a function of the mind. When you think about it, the brain is like a very sophisticated receiver tuner. You know, the data they use, the evidence they use to say the brain creates thought is that if I stick a probe in here and press there or destroy part of the brain, certain mind functions are not accessible. Well, if I went up to my receiver and stuck a little needle in there and cut a wire or broke it, they're not transistors, what do they have now? A circuit, a chip. It also would no longer work. We can no get the music, but I don't believe the symphony that was playing is inside the receiver. It's a transmitter. It's a different way of thinking. It's a way of thinking that makes life way more expansive. If you think about it. So the brain is a function of mind acting as a receiver tuner. Within the set of the mind is a smaller than this. Small subset called the conscious mind. The conscious mind is what we have in conscious awareness at any particular time-space moment. And things will float in and out of conscious awareness. For example, how your left ear feels right now. Just float into conscious awareness and will soon float out. Easy to get that, right? Some information is more difficult to get. For example, how your left ear felt at your 3rd birthday party. Now, just a small aside, the technology we use to be able to get the access to the more difficult information in your conscious mind is hypnosis. Okay? And hypnosis is chickens and eggs. When you're accessing deep information, you're going to trance, and you can get deep information. It works both ways. So, at any particular time, Thank you. Your conscious, most of your mind, the vast majority of your mind, is unconscious, not conscious. The conscious mind is a subset of the not conscious mind. Okay? Really interesting thing, and this is the biggest point about this, and this is the skill I want you to practice today and start to learn, and you already know it because you've done it so many times. I have a little story about yesterday. I demonstrated this ability, unconscious ability, yesterday. We were watching a movie last night, a terrible movie. What was the name of it?
Everything's all right.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine. For 93% of the movie, it wasn't. Why am I watching this? And we all had that, we agreed. Everybody agreed. My wife goes, I thought it sounded, the preview looked funny. She felt so bad for doing that to us. It opened with a song. Somebody was singing, and it was an old time song. It was, what was it? How'd it go? Come on, sing.
Catch a shining
Star and put it in your pocket. Never let it go. And the really interesting thing is, half an hour earlier, the girls have been singing that song in reference to some other show that they played it on. It was really a little spooky. Anyway, so I recognized the voice and some old-time singer, but I couldn't for the life of me get the name. I could see him, get a TV show. I was thinking there's a P or a C there somewhere. And I was thinking it's not Crosby, that's a different guy. You know, it wasn't that deep baritone. And I let it go. And I tried not to struggle with it, tried not to do it consciously. What was it, half an hour later? Came to my mind, what? Perry Como.
I know right away.
Perry Como. Yeah. Sweater, sitting in a chair singing, right? And I said this, the guy, Barbara, sitting in the chair, singing, the sweater. That was me getting out of the way to let the information flow into my conscious awareness. That ability to create a flow between consciousness and unconsciousness is a very useful skill, and it needs to be nurtured and developed. Okay? Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Both ways. One, getting information. The other thing is when you can bring things from unconscious to conscious, because some of that programming is a little archaic. It doesn't work so well anymore. It fits who we were 30, 40, 50 years ago, 20, whatever. Not who we are now. So if you can bring it into conscious awareness, reprogram it, and shoot it back into unconsciousness, you have a better program running. You know, a lot of that program was done by two adults of a different generation and a 3-year-old that didn't know any better. Not enough information. We have more information. So creating a flow and making this membrane very malleable, being able to access that, is very useful, and the ability to do that is, to me, is a sign of intelligence. That's different from intellect. I know a lot of people who have more intellect than me who aren't so intelligent. And we can have another seminar about understanding that. And I think it has to do with vibration. But, so I'm going to ask you to practice this today at times. And how I want you to practice it is to pretend that you can. Is to fake it. And when information flows from unconsciousness into consciousness, how it comes is as a subtle thought, as if you're guessing or making it up, often. And of course, as you get more practice and you start to notice that those subtle thoughts are pretty useful, you start to trust when they come.